Real quick before we get into the show, because I finished the Friday video and then my buddy Lincoln texted me. Just want to let you know, my buddy Lincoln Parrish, if you don't know who he is, you can check out some previous videos that we've done together. And just a straight up cool guy. Just want to say congratulations. You got allocated. Well, Lincoln just got allocated his 126500 LN black dial. Beautiful Daytona, and he's super stoked, and I'm super happy for him. He's got a stunning Rolex collection, and honestly, it couldn't have gone to a nicer guy. And so congratulations, Lincoln. And also thank you to Fink's Jewelers in Franklin, Tennessee, which is in Nashville, basically, for allocating him that watch. Mikey and Jeanette, you guys are so freaking awesome. You really have done amazing things by taking care of Lincoln, man. And he's super grateful, and I'm just super stoked that he got it. I'm just wanted to say, right on, dude. Congratulations, and you deserve it. What is up, everyone? Welcome to Friday's episode of Talking Timepieces with Tony. I'm Tony. Today I am wearing my Rolex Submariner 14060M from 2006, 2007. Love this watch. It's sort of the staple. It goes between this one and my Zenith Pilot, and then my DeMarco watch I wear a lot too. I wear my other watches too, but these are the ones that are just my staple pieces that I wear daily. Anyway, welcome to Friday, and it's the Q&A. And for those of you who don't know what the Q&A is, you're a new subscriber or whatever, been under a rock for a couple of years. We do this every Friday. If you want to participate, all you have to do is leave your questions in the comment section below, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. It's a lot of fun. We have good questions, fun questions, some good, some whatever, but I'm not going to roll the intro today. We're just going to get right into it. So first question comes from Hap Kidoroy. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, dude. Thoughts on the Tudor sub 7016/0 from 1970? Yeah, it's nice. I mean, it's a cool watch. It's got the happy face, I believe, on it on the dial. It has, back in those days, they used Rolex cases. I believe on that one, it's got a Rolex case back. It was almost like spare parts. They'd make Tudors out of Rolex spare parts. But I mean, I think it's a cool watch. And if you really like it, pick it up. I would prefer to have an older Submariner, Rolex Submariner, 5512 or the 5513. Or even the 14060, just my preference. But the Tudor subs are pretty cool, man. So if you decide to pick one up, good luck. Next one comes from Gino816. What's up, Gino? In honor, remembrance of Carl F. Bucherer, which one of their watches is your favorite? Mine is their World Timer, underrated watch. They're all underrated, all Carl F. Bucherers are underrated, and they're overpriced. I think that's part of the reason why they just didn't last, why Rolex got rid of them. They just lost money. They couldn't compete in the market of today's market. They were around since 1888, which, it's a shame to see that they're gone, but, Rolex did what they had to do, I guess, But I had the Petravi not so long ago, a few years ago. I love that watch. I ended up selling it to Federico. I think I've said that before. And then I do like the Monero Auto Date, which I was going to pick one of those up. I still might, who knows? But they're, again, and then I'm not really too familiar with their entire line. But again, there's so many other watches that were in that price point I'd rather have than a Bucherer, But rest in peace, Bucherer. All right, man. Thanks for your question. Next one comes from Stuntman Johnny. Hey, Tony. I love Grand Seiko's spring drive movement. I think it's a work of art. Do you think it gets the same love from most enthusiasts? I've heard the movement compared to a regular quartz movement. I don't hold that opinion. What are your thoughts on Grand Seiko and the spring drive movement? Well, it combines the mainspring with an electronic regulator. It doesn't require a battery. I think, I'm not a huge Grand Seiko fan. I've said it a bunch. I'm just not. I think their bracelets suck. Watches are cool, I guess. They keep obviously very, very good time. But there's, again, so many other watches I'd rather have than a Grand Seiko. But I wouldn't compare it to a quartz movement because it's not the same. It's what they did is, again, really cool. So what are you going to do? If you dig it, then pick them up or do, because there's tons of Grand Seiko fans out there that just freaking love them, especially with the snowflake dials, or, they're nice looking. Some of them are really nice looking. So, I wish you the best on that. And, thanks, man. Appreciate your question. Let's have a look here. Next one comes from Wes Braddock 553. This is kind of a long one. Hey, Tony, do you have any experience getting vintage watches serviced? I recently picked up a cool vintage Hamilton from the 1970s with an automatic movement. It runs and holds power reserve, but it's very inaccurate at plus 45 seconds a day, and winding is grainy. According to the previous owner, the watch has never been serviced ever. I would like to this watch serviced, so you want to get it serviced. But all the estimates I've received are $300 to $500, which feels like a lot considering I spent well under $100 on the watch itself. A great bargain. Do you think it's worth to spend a large amount of money to have it serviced on a vintage watch relative to its value? Or do you recommend just wearing the watch as is and not worrying about how it runs? Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's a vintage watch. And do you love it enough to have it serviced? I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, it's granted, if you spent less, okay, my cats are going crazy. If you spent less than $100 and you're going to spend $500 to service it, between $300 and $500 to service it, then, then do it. If you really like the watch, you have to really love the watch to do it. There's, again, when it comes down to, hey, stop it. When it comes down to, you're talking about value, there's no, I mean, you're not going to be able to sell it for any more. You just want a watch that runs and looks cool, and you want it to be, the vintage watch that you have. But it's up to you. It's entirely up to you. If I bought a watch because I really loved it and it needed to be serviced and it was going to cost $300 to $500 to have it serviced, but I really love the watch, then I would do it, because I'm not thinking about the value of the watch at this point. I'm thinking about how cool the watch is. That makes sense. So it's really up to you. But I appreciate your question. Good luck with that. Gino 816. Oh, okay. You just asked me one. Here's another one. I want Zenith to revamp the Chronomaster Sport and make it slightly thinner. I think it would be much better. What are your thoughts? Yeah, I mean, it's a 41 millimeter case, and I wrote this down. Lug to lug's 46.8. It's 13.6 millimeters thick. So it is a little thick, but it works. It doesn't bother me to make it thinner. I know the Rolex Daytona 126500 LN is 12 millimeters thick. It has a larger lug to lug, but and it's 39 millimeters. So if you're trying to compare the two, which you didn't mention if you were or not, I'm just stating, 12 millimeters thick to 13, it's only a millimeter, but only a millimeter means a lot, right? In this business anyway. So, yeah, it would be kind of cool, but if not, no big deal. It wears really comfortably on the wrist. I didn't ever put it on and look at it and go, oh shit, if it was just a millimeter thinner, didn't bother me. So, but, to each their own. Thanks again for your question, man. This is from La Vida 57. Hi, Tony. Here is a question. I'm going to be in Buenos Aires and Lima in the coming weeks. I'm going to go on a prowl for a vintage Rolex Omega, or, besides not buying any fake, thoughts on what to look out for? Thanks in advance. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't buy a fake. And if you're looking for vintage, I mean, just something that catches your eye, man. You know what I mean? I'm not a vintage expert. I don't know enough about vintage watches to even, make an assumption like, I mean, I know certain watches that are vintage that I like I've mentioned the 5512, 5513 Submariners, certain Vacheron Constantins, certain Patek Philippe Calatravas, things like that. But, you got to look for what you want. Something catches your eye, look at it, and then make that decision. But okay, hang on. Hey, stop it. Sorry, you guys. But appreciate your question, man. This one comes from Michael Saraceno. Hey, Michael, how you doing? I'm still on a long journey for the Rolex Batgirl. As I'm patiently waiting, Glasuta Original has really caught my attention over the last year. I'm interested in some of their more formal designs. Panomatic Lunar, the Senator Excellence Panorama Date, Moon Phase. My question to you, as one casual dresser to another, if you've purchased a formal watch in the past, did they tend not to work their way into your rotation and eventually get sold, such as your Vacheron? How much would a non-leather strap change the vibe and give it a different appearance? I'm trying to determine if it is better to appreciate and admire from afar versus making that investment only to have it sit in the safe. Thanks for your time as always. Well, Glasuto Originals, man, those are awesome watches. You know, especially the ones you mentioned there. I mean, I love Glasuta. I think, like I say, they're a great brand. As far as like putting I would never put a bracelet on that Patrimonio that I have. It would look absolutely terrible. There's that one YouTuber, I think his name's Bruce something or other, the guy from Utah. He's looks a little bit like one of those trolley kind of guys. I mean, that guy would put a fucking bracelet on anything, I think, just because that's his preference. You know what I mean? And even no matter how ugly the watch looked, that's his preference. I would never put a bracelet really on any watch like that. I prefer it with a leather strap, but at the same time, yeah, and I am a casual dresser, but my Vacheron Constantin, it's old, you know what I mean, and it's a beautiful watch. It was almost a little too dressy. You could still wear it with a jeans and t-shirt, but it was almost too dressy for that in a sense. But I still love doing it. And watches in general work their way out of my rotation a lot, apart from my Zenith Pilot and my Rolex Submariner. And I say out of my rotation, I still have one rotation box that still has like, you know, a bunch of watches in it, and I wear them periodically. So they're still in the rotation. So it's just whether or not it's going to be a daily watch. You know, it's not necessarily just because you're not wearing it one day or for a couple of days that it's not, you know, going to just sit in the bank. You know what I mean? But, you know, if you love dress watches like I do, you just really have to go out and pick one up, one that you really like, and then wear it, bond with it, get used to it, you know, keep it in that rotation. You know, if you bond with it, you bond with it regardless of the watch. And if you don't, then you don't, regardless of the watch, you know? So it's like people, when they say they you know, they want the Daytona and it's the only watch they want, you know, you still have to bond with it. But if it's the only watch you want, then you'll most likely bond with it. You know, for me, it didn't work because I couldn't tell the time on it. But I have other Rolex that I don't wear as well. You know what I mean? So, but you just have to sort of jump in the deep end and go for it. You know what I mean? And if you think you can live with it, cool. But if you think it's going to have any chance of sitting in a safe or whatever, you know, then I don't know. You'd have to sort of make that decision, you know. But thanks for your question, dude. This next one comes from Supreme_Allen. Hi, Tony. Can you recommend the Panerai PAM 561 8 days? It's $10,800 Australian at my AD. Regards, Allen. $10,800 in Australian compared to US dollars. I don't know what the exchange rate is on that, but you know, you can pick those up pretty cheap on the secondary market, and that's probably where I would go with a Panerai, I think, if I were to buy one. But you know, I'm not necessarily thinking about buying one. 44 millimeters, did I say that? I don't know what size your wrist is, but it's a nice looking watch. Don't get me wrong, but you know, that's a decision you have to make if you like Panerai. You know what I mean? And if you really like Panerai, then do it. And if you really like Panerai, then I wouldn't even suggest buying it pre-owned, man. Spend the money on it. If it's a watch you're going to keep, buy it brand new, box papers. You're the first owner, and you get to cherish and love that watch, and then hang on to it. You know what I mean? But if you're like me, you know, I don't even like buying pre-owned watches really, but you know, I have done. But yeah, I mean, would I recommend it? I don't know. I've never owned a Panerai. Well, yeah, actually, no, I'm lying. Years and years ago. But thanks for your question, man. Next one, Sean Miller. Hey, Sean, what's up, dude? If there was a mirror universe that had a YouTube channel called Talking Tony with Timepieces, what would the timepieces say about you? That's interesting, man. Probably they would just say very well taken care of, because I really do take care of my watches. Even though I say watches are beater watches, you know, I don't go around smacking them around or whatever. And if I do knock them, I'm kind of like looking at it like going, oh my God, did I scratch it or whatever? I take care of them. You know, they probably just say, well, we're very well taken care of here in Tony's household. Thanks for your question, Sean. David Parrish Productions. What's up, David? How are you, man? Tony, recently my wife and I had an ice skating disaster. I slashed my hand with my skate when I fell, and my wife broke her arm when she fell trying to help. Oh my God, dude. I hope you're okay. I know I responded to you on this one. I hope you're all right. And sorry that happens. Hope your wife gets better. And I hope you do. I hope it wasn't too bad. We're healing, but it made me wonder, have you ever broken an arm or any bones? Thanks. Yes, I have multiple times. I've had my nose broken like 4 times. I broke my elbow skateboarding. I used to be a skater. I was like more like a semi-pro skater way back in the day, but even with elbow pads, I still broke my elbow. It was my fault because I bought a new board. I actually didn't buy a new board. It was given to me, a new deck, set it up, and I wasn't used to it. And I went pool skating, and I took a gnarly hit with my elbow pads on, and it shattered my elbow. So I can imagine what would have happened if I wasn't wearing elbow pads. But I had a cast on my arm from here all the way up to here, and that wasn't very pleasant considering I was a guitar player for a living at the time. You know what I mean? So I had to put everything on hold for a while. And actually, that cast really bothered me, so I took it off like 2 weeks later. I cut it off, and I kept trying to straighten my arm. And not a good idea if you ever break your elbow, but I did it. Broken a foot, you know. What else? You know, I think that's probably it. But yeah, but get better, dude. Sorry to hear that. Next one at UMQ5147. Hey, Tony, I'm with you. Day dates with classic dials are best. Which ones would you choose? If it was me and I was going to buy a day date, I would get the 40 millimeter in white gold with the slate dial. I think that's pretty freaking sick. The green dial is awesome as well. It's kind of more, it's not, the green dial is not more understated than the slate dial, but I love the slate dial. And if I was to get the gold, I'd get rose gold with the chocolate dial because I think that watch is beautiful. I tried it on, but the indices were baguette diamonds, but they were really understated and it was really cool. It was probably my top for the day dates, man. 40 millimeters, of course. Thanks for your question, man. This one comes from Yaz Marie Rodriguez. Yaz Marie Rodriguez. For you, what would be your best Rolex? My best Rolex would be my Batgirl. Plain and simple. You know, it's probably my favorite one. Even though I don't wear it as much as the sub, but it's my favorite. Thanks for your question, man. GD9986. Hey, man, any thoughts, experience with Chopard? LUC XPS green, forest green dial is pretty cool. I've not had a chance to try any of them on because I don't, you know, Bindi doesn't carry them, and I wouldn't be willing to drive into Beverly Hills just to try one on. I think Chopard are doing better things now with their watches. The quality, the craftsmanship, everything about them. You know, you're looking at what, a $12,000-$13,000 price point on those, which isn't too bad. But again, there's other watches I'd probably prefer, or I would hang on to that money and save a little bit more to get something else. But you know, you never know. I don't know what they're going for on the secondary market, but yeah, Chopard are doing good things, man. But I don't have any experience with them. So thanks for your question, dude. This next one comes from Hey Y'all Bricks 877. Hey Tony, if you were offered a Snoopy at the same time as a Batman or Batgirl, which would you choose? I want both in my collection, and from the ways things are progressing, I may be forced. And want both in my collection and okay, you guys, here's another thing. It happens a lot, man. Spelling and punctuation sometimes is like really difficult for me, and it makes me look like I can't read. I want both in my collection, and from the way things are progressing, I may be faced with that decision soon. Batgirl, 100%, dude. I'm not even an Omega fan. I'm not an Omega fan, but you know, if I was going to buy an Omega, I mean, I've had Omegas, I've had several of them, but the Snoopy, the silver Snoopy, I love that watch because I like Snoopy and I like the aesthetic of that watch. But yeah, I mean, I got the Batgirl. I mean, it's no hands down, no comparison. But if I had the chance to get a Snoopy, I'd probably pick it up. But I wish you the best on that, man. Next one, Michael DeMarco 899. Michael, how you doing, buddy? Love your watch, dude. Thank you. Tony, question: do you like Tonneau shaped watches? And if yes, what brands do you like that make them? Well, when I used to make watches, I made a Tonneau shape, and that was I'm trying to remember the model of that one, but I still have it. That's one of the ones I rebuilt and have it working again. But you know, when it comes down to Tonneau shape, yes, I love Tonneau shape. Frank Mueller Vanguard, different variations of Frank Mueller watches. I love the Vacheron Constantin Malt Tourbillon. or just the malts in general. I don't have. I mean, I have a few Tonneau shapes, yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I do. I like them. Yeah. So, but the malt tourbillon is just super fucking classy, man. The VC 9963, I think it is, which was just the malt. That's a beautiful watch too. I'll take either one of those, man. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Last one comes from watch_talks. Hey, Tony, I've been seeing digital mock-ups of rumored 2025 Rolex releases, watches and wonders. The GMT Master 2 Coke, a white gold sub, and blue bezel dial root beer on a Jubilee. Personally, I'd be pumped for a Coke. The root beer also looked cool. Yeah, I saw all those too, man. And I saw the digital ones too, and those, all the mock-up stuff. Do you have any hopes for ideas? Do you have any hopes or ideas of what you would be pumped to see? I would text my rep right away if they bring back the Coke. How about you? If they brought back the Coke, no, I wouldn't text them right away. I mean, for one, I know it's already going to be an 8-month to a year wait list, or before they even the dealers get them. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the Coke, but I'm not a huge fan of the Pepsi either. I mean, I don't dislike them. I like them, but I just prefer my Batgirl. I love the color variation of the bezel. I think that's just more my thing. You know what I mean? So red and black, those are hyped watches, man. They're just, don't get me wrong, that Batgirl's hyped as well, but I don't buy watches because it's a hype thing and everybody wants it. Excuse me. And I've had people say, well, you've got hype watches, and can you say that you're not into hype watches? And this, because this has happened before. It's like, no, I like those watches before they were hyped watches. Then they became hyped, but I still like the watch. I didn't buy them because they were hyped. I bought the watches because I love the watch, and then they became hyped. The Pepsi, the Batgirl, Pepsi and the Coke, they're like, yes, we want that to come back. But I said before, Tudor already did it. I don't think Rolex is going to bring back the Coke, but if they do, cool. But I wouldn't be the first one, texting my rep for that. So I appreciate it, man. And I appreciate everyone that watches my videos and subscribes to my channel. We'll see you on the next one.